Hi everyone, my name is Henry and I want to explain the terminology of a record player, because a lot of my customers know what they want but they don't know how to express themselves. So what I've got here is a turntable or a record player or a LP player, whatever one suits you. And I think I must work my way from the bottom up so that I try and cover as much as possible. Now the first thing is this part, this wooden, well in this case wooden part. They also come in plastic. This is called the plinth. If it's made out of wood like this one, this is a laminated wood with, they've got a plastic lamination cover over, and wood is better. This is called the platter. This is the slip mat. This is a slip mat that was given to me by a customer of mine. It is made out of the material they use in the car's boot to prevent stuff from slipping. And at the time I got this turntable, I didn't have a slip mat, so he gave me one of these. It works well. So if you have no slip mat, or your slip mat is deteriorated because of age, then this is a solution. It works for me and I'm happy with it. Right, get that out of the way. Now this is called the platter. Now a person gets two types of turntables. You get a direct drive, actually three types. You get a direct drive, then you get a belt drive, and then you get one that has got like an idler wheel that runs on the motor, and the motor runs on the platter. Now the platter must be made out of aluminium in this case. Some are made out of glass. Making them out of plastic is not good. You want the heavier this stuff is, the better. Because the simple reason for that is that when your stylus is on the record, the vibration of the cantilever is the sound. And if anything else vibrates, it will either interfere or cancel out the actual sound you need. So, as heavy as possible, as heavy as possible. Then you get your tone arm. Now this is the most sophisticated part of the entire turntable, and also probably one of the most important things that gives you good sound. Now the first thing, what you would be looking for is a tone arm that's got a proper mounted bearing there and a proper mounted bearing in there, because that gives you a smoother operation. Now an easy way to see whether a tone arm, and then for that matter the entire turntable, is of a better quality is to see whether it's got an adjustable counterweight. That's the first thing. In my opinion, look, I will not buy a turntable that hasn't got that. But the truth of the matter is that if you have nothing, something is 100% better than nothing. So if you have nothing, you can buy a plastic turntable. It will play records, but it doesn't sound very good. If you get a tone arm with an adjustable counterweight, it is probably a much better tone arm than what the plastic one would be. Now, let me just get some terminology out of the way here. This is the counterweight. This is the tone arm, and then this one the head shell can remove on this one. But now what's important on this one, I want that camera to look at me. This one hasn't got a universal head shell. Now I don't have, let me just have a look. I beg your pardon, I should have been more organized from the start, but let me see if I've got a universal head shell on here. I apologize. This is what a universal head shell look like. This one has been in an accident. It's a bit skew, but this is the universal type. Now if you come across a turntable with this type of head shell is this part here. That is the cartridge, and this is the stylus. Styli generally are not interchangeable, so you can't fit anything onto this cartridge, just as you cannot fit that stylus onto this one or anyone else for that matter. Each one of these has got their own stylus. And in this particular case, if you look at this one, I don't know whether that camera is strong enough to see here, but I'll take closer pictures if not. This one's got a round shaft. That is the shaft of the stylus, and that little piece there is the cantilever. So you've got the shaft and then the plastic fitting and the cantilever. That's called the stylus, and the stylus fits into the cartridge, and the cartridge is attached to the head shell, and the head shell then fits into the tone arm, and that gives you the ability to play music. Now this is called the RCA plug. Now these little wires, which is very, very fine, goes from here straight through to a connection block inside and then out to the RCA. And you don't have a high output, a line level output on these RCAs like you would have on a CD player or a cassette deck or something like that. This is a low input, so you cannot plug this RCA into auxiliary or CD or anything like that. You need a phono preamplifier for this to work. So if you plug this into your hi-fi and the sound is very, very low, that is a sign that you need a preamplifier. You can buy them loose, you can buy expensive ones loose, you can buy cheap ones loose, but the cheap ones work well. The expensive ones is outstanding. So this would go into an amplifier. Red is right, left is white. And the same goes for the wiring over here. Red is positive right, white is left, and the other two are ground. Now generally it will be red and green and blue and white that goes together. So blue would be negative for the left and green would be negative for the right. Right, let's get this stylus back on. Now when you fit the stylus, I've done this a couple of times, so I can do it quickly, but take care because they're very, very sensitive and also getting very expensive now. Right, so that is on there. We take these oaks off here. Now I've lost my, oh here it is, okay. Put my slip mat on there, and then if you just give me a break, I'm gonna quickly organize me a record. I got myself a record, and I'm going to put the record onto the turntable. Now this is one of our test records, so it's been through a lot. Right, now we put the, if your record player has got this cue in function, use it. It will save you a lot of styli. Right, drop it in there, and now what happens now is the groove, or this music, or the track, is a spiral that runs from the outer edge to the inner edge. Right on the edge here, you've got what they call the lead in, and in between you've got a lead in and lead out. So at the end of a song you'll have a lead out, and beginning you'll have a lead in, which is in between the songs, to space them apart so that the one just doesn't fade into the other one. And then on the inner side of the record you've got your lead out, and then the most inner part of the lead out is a loop. In other words, it will stop there. Now most turntables has got an automatic mechanism that will stop the record when it gets there. Just see if I can pick this oak up, and I put it in over there, right, and I drop it, and then we can see if this oak, I'll connect the sound shortly, but unfortunately I cannot put this audio on the video because YouTube gets upset about copyright. So I can play a short piece of this. There you see, it's picking up, take itself back, and that's what you call an auto return. Not all turntables have it. The more automatic a turntable becomes, especially the old ones, the better the chance that you're going to run into trouble, because the plastic inside, let me just get there, then I'll show you the plastics inside. These plastic gears, they become brittle, especially this one on the main shaft. This one becomes brittle, it breaks, and the auto return doesn't work. And if your turntable has got only the functions to auto cue and auto space and auto forward, and these things break, you're in trouble. So what we do, if we do repairs on a turntable and we've got problems with that, we take it out and it becomes a manual turntable. You cannot do that on all, just some of them you can take the automatic stuff out and make it a manual, which then the turntable works, can play music. Right, so that's the story. I think I've covered everything. We can just maybe recap quickly and say this is the plinth, this is the platter, slip mat, record, tone arm, counterweight, head shell, cartridge, and stylus. So if your stylus is broken, you will replace this part. If you cannot find this part, you must replace the cartridge, which is this part that screws on with 2 screws through the top. Those screw spacings are universal, so most cartridges fit. You get 2 types of fittings, and it's the P mount, which is not this one, and then you get this one, which is a standard one. If yours has got the 2 screws, you can fit any cartridge onto there, provided it's compatible with you. You get 2 types of cartridges: moving magnet, moving coil. Moving magnet's more common. If you have a moving coil, you need a special preamp that can handle moving coil. If you have this particular turntable and this head shell, where that fitting is missing, then you're in trouble. Because you cannot, well, I cannot get these things loose. I cannot. So only way then is to replace the tone arm, and in some cases it's not worth going through the trouble. You'd rather get one that takes the universal head shell. Okay, so that's that, and I think that covers, oh, there's one part that I haven't done. And then on the tone arm there's also the anti-skating. Now anti-skating, the record, because the inner track by a slight margin turns slower than the outer track, the friction on the one is more than on the other one, so the arm has got a tendency to pull towards the inside. Now this is a measure to counter that. Some turntables use a spring-loaded mechanism. Some turntables use a counterweight gravity system. But the general rule of thumb, if your tracking force, that is the force that you set your counterweight at, your tracking force of your stylus is 2 grams, you turn your anti-skating to number 2. It seems like most turntables are calibrated to correspond with those 2. So, but that is just to say what the anti-skating is for. Now some turntables has got a pitch control which varies the speed. Now you've got this little light that shines on the little blocks. Now these blocks are actually a strobe. Those blocks are spaced exactly the right spacing so that when the record player is at the right or the correct speed, it will look like those blocks are standing still by this strobe light. Now if you have a strobe light, there's a good chance that your turntable's got a pitch control. Pitch control is the control that controls the speed of which the platter rotates at. Now for this record it is 33 and a third RPM, revolutions per minute. And if we at 33.3, then this thing would be would look like it's standing still. And then of course you've got 45 RPM, same thing applies. The strobe would look like it's standing still when you have the correct speed. Now in most cases you can set the speed once and it will stay correct. It can change with temperature, but it's not critical. So I think that covers the turntable, but I think I've covered the basic terminology. I thank you for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe to my channel, and click on the notification button to be notified when I load the next video. Till next time. Bye bye.